Okay, conflict of two natures now. This is good stuff, but I don't want you to think that this is your perpetual Christian doom, condition of despair. I don't think this is the typical Christian life. Paul is not going around telling his people, you are all miserable sinners all the time and you never overcome anything. That would be a counsel of despair. For we know that the law, let's get this clear, we know that the Torah is spiritual, but I am of the flesh, sold into bondage to sin. Now he's describing here the unconverted condition, I representing the whole of humanity, essentially unconverted, I think. He's not talking about his present condition as an apostle. You can make a double application here. If this fits your life, we can all respond, I think all of us can respond to verse 18. I know that nothing good dwells in me. At our worst, we're all sorts of sinners. We know that. Hopefully we're keeping that well in check. But Paul here is standing for the person wanting to become a Christian, essentially. Yes, there are overtones of the present Christian life. I see that. I would not want to be dogmatic. But in view of what's coming in chapter 8, I don't think this is the normal operating procedure for all Christians. If it is, it's a bit depressing. He says in 24, wretched man that I am. Well, if we're continuously wretched, not getting anywhere, that's rather depressing. Are you going to advertise a faith which turns you into an equally wretched person that can't ever get anything right? I would hope not. But he's setting himself up then as a sort of a symbolic person. If that's your condition, then read this very much for yourself. So then, on the one hand, I myself, with my mind, am serving God's Torah, but on the other hand, with my flesh. So flesh then for Paul is the downward pull of human nature. And he says that most beautifully in 18 there. I know that nothing good dwells in me. That's to say, in my unconverted self. The unconverted part of me is still hanging on, but it's not overcoming, presumably. It's not triumphant in the Christian life because Jesus Christ has set him free. He asks the question, who's going to set me free? And then when he gets to 8 and the chapter breaks, unfortunately, spoiling our whole story here. 8:1, therefore there is now, and underline the word now, for us Christians, who are mature Christians at least, no condemnation for those who are in harmony with Messiah Jesus, because the law, the Torah, and incidentally he talked about the principle of the Torah in verse 21. If you glance back to verse 21, I find then the Torah that is evil and present in me. That same word nomos, or law there, translated correctly as principle. And so the principle down in verse 2 of chapter 8, the law of the Spirit of life in Messiah Jesus. That's the key to this whole thing. That's the words that I speak to you are spirit and life, John 6:63. There's a new spirit in your life from the risen Christ. And this has freed you from the principle of sin and death. And of course this does take some self-control. If you're going to do video games or watch pornography or look at a lot of violence on television for hour after hour, you're going to just feed the lower nature. So we don't do that. The R-rated movies, the extreme wild sorts of movies that people are exposed to, stay away from them. Don't encourage the flesh by your reading material and your television watching. He explains it. I like that. Nothing good dwells in me. Let me tell you what I mean. In me, that's to say, the downward pull of my unconverted self, which lingers in my present experience. So I'm trying to do good, but I'm not doing it. That's too depressing to be the normal operating procedure for Christianity forever, so that's why we read into chapter 8.